What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are back. It is Wednesday evening. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Sorry we were maybe a little late. We were chatting about Star Wars. Surprise, surprise.
It's still 7. I think we're okay.
That's true. That's true. I appreciate everybody jumping on here already. Darth Plagueis lives, Des8788, and Jessica and Lane Powell. Appreciate you guys jumping on here and putting up with us talking for 2 hours about Star Wars. But we love your chat, so please chime in on anything we got. We got a bunch of stuff to get to tonight. I know Mike had talked about a few things that we're going to sort of recap tonight, and then we'll get into some other things possibly a little bit later as we go on. And I think maybe we'll jump right into that, like we were talking about, because I sort of want to give my little 2 cents about that, like we were talking about earlier. And I know you can jump into Mike. You talked a little bit about this yesterday with Henry Gilroy and talking about Sabine on the Pot of Rebellion podcast, where a bunch of the cast members or voice actors from Rebels are on there. And it's really cool. If you haven't checked it out, we actually have had Vanessa Marshall on here. So if you haven't seen that, it's a really cool interview. She actually talks a lot about this podcast. We're actually going to get her back at some point and talk to her about like her Star Wars story. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. But anyways, back to this. I just thought this was sort of interesting that it wasn't really the idea, or some people had a different idea of where Sabine was going to go instead of being a Jedi, which, like I was saying before we got on here, I'm a Star Wars lover. It doesn't matter if she's a Jedi or not. But I think that it was sort of what they talk about here is a little bit of overkill, because she was a great warrior, and we have Ezra coming out of this as a Jedi with Ahsoka, and they were both trained by Kanan. But I thought it was just sort of interesting once I saw the article and what he had to say about it. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Force-sensitive Mandalorian, and when they did it with Sabine in Ahsoka Season 1, I was a huge fan. So it's clear that there's maybe some different creatives who worked on Rebels who disagree. I mean, Dave Filoni gets the reins to do a whole season of Ahsoka, and he makes Sabine a Jedi, when Henry Gilroy is saying that she was never intended to be a Jedi. But, I mean, I wouldn't have been upset if she didn't become a Jedi, if she remained a Mandalorian, because she's still badass and cool in Rebels, and she's not a Jedi in Rebels. Like, she trains with the Darksaber, yes, she trains with Kanan, but she's not, I guess, a Jedi yet. But it seemed natural, at least when watching Ahsoka Season 1, it felt natural, and I still love that first season, and it feels all deserved, especially when you watch Rebels. So, I mean, I guess I get not wanting to piggyback on Ezra because he's already a training Jedi in Rebels. But now that Ezra's gone and she goes off to train with Ahsoka, it not only explains where the two of them were during the original trilogy, but it also gives you a Mandalorian Jedi, which can't be upset about that.
Yeah, and she is a badass, and I think, like you said, with her being away with Ahsoka, those powers are going to help her if they do have to deal with Abeloth.
Now, I was
also true.
I'm wondering too, or I was trying to think back. Did she do anything that was like really using the Force? Like, was she like moving things with her mind at all
In Ahsoka or in Rebels?
in Ahsoka?
Oh, well, the big issue was yes, because she pushed Ezra up to the ship.
Yeah, at the end,
Okay.
but like she didn't move the cup or anything like that.
Right.
She was trying to do some of those other things.
So like,
Well, actually, no. The first time she used it was when she was pinned up against the wall with the zombie trooper, and then she used the Force to grab the lightsaber, and it went through his head.
okay, so she did use it.
What
Twice.
about
'Cause I was like, is she just lucky? Like,
No,
Well,
yeah, she used it twice.
didn't she use it, or didn't I'm blanking on the character's name, the other, not Balin, but
Shin.
Shin Hati?
Yeah.
didn't she do something when they were fighting? Didn't she sort of like force push her a little bit because she was sort of like surprised?
No, she went to, and nothing happened, and Shin was like, "Ha, you little weakling."
Okay, I thought she sort of like she was like, "Hey, what happened?" So
that's where I was like, is she just getting lucky?
It was a
does
big
she
lead up.
really does she really have the Force, or is she just, like, somebody that was trained by somebody with the Force and got lucky with some stuff? I don't know, but also, Mike, nice shirt.
Yeah, you guys both have the shirt on tonight. I got some stormtroopers on here. Steve is here. Appreciate it. Mando United, Jedi Jarvo, and Ricky. Appreciate you guys. Steve, I will. I was talking.
Warriors are too.
Yeah, I was talking to Derek off site and or offline, and there he is. But I had to take him off because he's so motion sensitive. He would have been going off the whole time we were on. So we can do that.
That's
But
awesome.
if you haven't seen it already, I have a little clip of me putting it together. It was fun. It's about 35 seconds. It's one of those time lapse things. But it was fun. It's really cool. I mean, he does almost every beep and bop that you can think of. And I can put it up. I have the lights and stuff that I can hook up to him for Christmas, but we're gonna just keep him down here with Chewbacca and the Stormtrooper and Yoda over there. My wife keeps loving where she's like, "Where's this gonna go?" I'm like, "Down in the Star Wars room." Where do you think?
You're gonna need a whole new space.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna need another space. You're gonna need kind of like what I did with my old studio. Like,
I know. I thought about that. That would be. He had a whole like trail, like a what did you call it? Like it was a shed, but it was like one of those trailer things.
Yeah.
And
So like I had it built with runners on it. So like when I left Nashville, I sold it, which was kind of cool. But yeah, it was my studio, and it was awesome, and it was all Star Wars, and it was the good old days.
The good old days of Sabine using the Force.
Exactly. So in the chat here, and then Mike, I'll let you go on this. But in the chat here, what you guys think about Sabine using the Force? You think it's a good thing? You think she deserves to have it? Again, Hu Yang, or Hu Juang, like Mike likes to say. He talks to her and pretty much says, "Yeah, you don't have much abilities," which I thought was very interesting. So
that's what I agree with.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see like Sabine become the greatest Jedi of all time. But I think you're going to see her, especially in season 2, probably train a lot more with Ahsoka. And I feel like we kind of know what's going to happen to Ahsoka. Like if it is Abeloth, it's likely that she's going to probably protect the rest of the galaxy from Abeloth. It seems like Ahsoka, Bail, and Shin, you can kind of guess where their stories may go in season 2. With Sabine, it's kind of a big question mark. Will she stay on Peridea with Ahsoka? Will she go back home and help Ezra with Thrawn? Like Sabine, of all the characters that are in that other galaxy, she's the biggest question mark. So I don't think she'll become a very powerful Force user. She'll probably use it here or there, but she does have Ezra's old lightsaber, and she's going to continue to use that. So I could see her being more like Darth Maul. Like Darth Maul is more of a warrior than he is a Force user. Yes, he can wield the Force, but he's more of a lightsaber wielder than he is a Force user. But I'm not saying she'd be as powerful as Maul. I'm just saying more so that way. I think too, with this whole she shouldn't have been a Jedi, should have been a Jedi, that was the biggest argument when Ahsoka season 1 came out, because there had to be something. And that was one of the biggest ones, because people who didn't watch Rebels weren't really a fan of the Sabine character, maybe for some colorful reasons. But they just needed something to latch onto, and that was the obvious one. She uses the Force to push Ezra up onto the ship. I don't think she's going to become a very powerful Force user, but I don't mind her wielding the Force. I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it a bit. And I guess that was kind of the thing too, of like, I understand people like having problems with it, but for me, it was I feel like they did a great job making her not the superpower Jedi.
Yeah,
because if they would have done that, then everybody would have freaked out.
Yeah, you're talking about like I don't know, how old Sabine now, like 25, 30 years old. You're talking about a 30-year-old wielding the Force for the first time ever, being able to pick up a lightsaber. Whoa, shocking. We have younglings of the Jedi Temple who can wield the Force a lot stronger than that, and they're like 5 years old.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
The description we get of the Force over and over again, from Obi-Wan to Ahsoka to Yoda to everybody, it's that it's in everyone. The Force is in everybody. It's just the ability to use it. You need training, and you need, I guess, a higher midichlorian count, but I guess to be more powerful. what the idea is, at least the description has been, that anybody can pretty much tap into the Force. It's just levels. There's levels to this thing. It's training, it's natural talent, and it's midichlorian counts. So there's all those things into one. Sabine's had plenty of training to be a Mandalorian and to also wield the lightsaber and the Force with Ahsoka. It's just something that's not really... The Jedi and Mandalorian ways are very opposite, and she's been fighting against both.
Yeah. Well, and again, she is a huge... She's such a... Not a huge, but she's a great warrior, obviously. Yeah. And I think that helps her, but it also hinders her a little bit, because if she's going to rely on the Force a little bit, she's not going to rely on her warriorness, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, again, shooting, doing things like that. Because I mean, she's pretty badass when it comes to fighting, even, you know, dealing with the dark saber and things like that, where if she starts to rely on the Force more, if she's not as powerful as Ahsoka or somebody like that, I think it will hinder her. But I think if she learns to control both of them, then she could be pretty badass and have some decent powers that obviously she's going to get trained in while she's on Peridia with Ahsoka. Because again, I don't see how she could go back and help Ezra and Hera if Ahsoka doesn't go with her, unless they split up. But I don't think that that's going to happen, especially in season 2.
I'll bring up another point too. When it comes to Sabine wielding the Force, she only ever does it twice, but she only ever does it on Peridia. Like, we've seen this happen before, where she can't, like Derek said, she can't move that cup when they're in the regular galaxy. There's some things when it comes to planets like Dagobah where there's more, I guess, they're central in the Force. Like, there's a Force presence on the planet itself. So maybe it has to do with the fact that Peridia is going to be this very powerful planet where the Mortis gods came from and Abeloth is. So maybe there's, and the Night Sisters came from. So maybe it's actually the planet itself that allows Sabine to maybe build off that Force power.
Very true. Well, it's just like, as you get into, and I'm not going to make any spoilers, but I did finish Master of Evil, which, if you haven't checked it out yet, it's a really good book. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't put it down. I mean, it's been out a week, maybe less, and I was just like, nope, this is going to go. But they deal with that in there as well.
Yeah,
they go to this spot. You know, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to spoil, but they go to a spot where there's some more power there. And like you said, just like on Dagobah, you know, and on some of these other planets where Luke was, you know.
Yeah, Octu,
Octu. You're going to have something that's going to help you with that. So that is an interesting point, that she has only used it when she's been on Peridia.
And like Derek said again, or maybe Ron said it, Huge Wang is making fun of her the entire first season. Like, you're going to get more of that in season 2. Like, it's not going to be, oh, Sabine tapped into the Force, so now she's the most powerful person ever. You're still going to get them making fun of her for not being the greatest Force user and all that other stuff. It's going to continue into season 2, and you're going to get more training sequences. Like, that's what people want anyway. Like, training, getting to see how to become more powerful in the Force. Like, Ahsoka and Sabine are going to train in season 2, at least for a couple episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to spin off that. I want to touch on this real quick. Let me see if I can pull that up. I thought this was sort of cool. That Skeleton Crew got nominated for this Children's and Family Outstanding Young Teen Series. So I thought that was sort of cool, because again, as we've talked about before, what a great series it was, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not. And you don't have to be a Star Wars fan to watch this. It's phenomenal. And I think that's really cool that some of the Star Wars stuff is getting recognized now, because for so long it didn't. And I think obviously they've come so far, but the stories even before, I think, deserve to have some credit and some awards, you know, thrown their way in reference to at least nominations, you know, because to get just to get people out there and be like, okay, maybe it's not as goofy as I think, or, you know, some of the animation, obviously, as we all love, and it fills in these pictures, or fills in these, you know, blanks and stuff in between for characters. But for them to get nominated for Outstanding Young Teen Series, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, Derek talks about it all the time, Skeleton Crew, but it truly is underrated, and we forget that it came out technically, at least some of the episodes came out this year, and of course into last year, but it is the forgotten project because everybody talks about The Acolyte because it was so divisive. Everybody talks about Andor because it was so good. Everybody talks about all these other projects. We're talking about Ahsoka a second ago. Skeleton Crew is just never talked about, and it's so underrated. It's so good, and it eventually, I know for a fact, it eventually will become important with At-Atten and Jod and the kids too. But yeah, that's great to see. 17 nominations is a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep.
It's a masterpiece.
It is a very underrated piece of Star Wars content, that's for sure.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
it's something that I think over time is going to become more popular because it's going to connect to more things. So when like a Mando movie comes out and At-Atten is a big part of it, people are going to be like, what the hell is that? And then other people like us are going to be like, you didn't see Skeleton Crew, you idiot. And then they go watch Skeleton Crew. And they're like, oh, this was really good.
Yeah. You dummies. Also, happy Life Day. Did you guys have a good Life Day?
I did, actually. A lot of the Discord that I have, we were celebrating Life Day was great. And I just find it so funny that Life Day is still something that they, like Lucasfilm themselves, they celebrate and they talk about when it's from the holiday special that they want nothing to do with.
Well, and that's why I love like the Star Wars Christmas special and stuff. And they're trying to get back for Life Day. And yeah, just all of it is great.
Yeah.
And they just put out a new lo-fi on Life Day, and it's like a Life Day Star Wars official lo-fi.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
It's a bunch of Wookiees in their
robe.
robe.
Yeah, I listened to that. There's one that has Hera like set up, as the music's playing, and she's doing something on the computer, and it's pretty cool. And it's cool, and it just has the lo-fi. It'll have some Star Wars music. It'll have some voices in there and stuff, which is pretty cool. And it's just nice if you're working or doing something, which I have been doing a lot. Just putting these.
It's funny that you mentioned that one. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that one because Disney and Lucasfilm finally dummied up because there were all of these Star Wars lo-fi channels out there making good money on Star Wars, and they can get away with it because they're altering the music. And so Disney can't do copyright strikes. So they finally made their own channels to compete with all of that. And now they're doing it with like, they've got like Minnie's Coffee House and all of these things. So like if you type in Star Wars lo-fi on YouTube, you're actually going to find a ton of non-official channels first, but they have a whole like playlist of official ones. And then you can also listen to like all the Max Rebo stuff, or not Max Rebo, DJ Rex. Max Rebo's our guy. But yes, DJ Rex, all of his mixes from Oga's Cantina are on there. So like, I love that stuff. And as a Star Wars fan and a music fan, it doesn't get much better.
No, that is really cool. I haven't really tapped into that stuff, but I have seen that there's so many lo-fi, like not even just Star Wars, but lo-fi stuff everywhere. It's a bigger market than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jedi Jarvo mentioned.
Go ahead. What are you saying?
Jedi Jarvo said about Neil's siblings watching the Christmas special.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it refers back to Life Day.
But that's why I thought about it. So I was like,
yeah,
because they're watching the really creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, those are scary.
So yeah, I mean Disney again. Everybody's like, "Oh, Lucasfilm doesn't listen to us. Lucasfilm doesn't hear anything." They're putting it right in front of our faces. Like they're giving us teases at the holiday special in Skeleton Crew. Like, yeah.
Well, they gave us Boba Fett's gun.
Yeah.
I mean, Mando had it, but
yeah.
Very true. I think I thought I saw that was going up on that was going up for auction somewhere. I think it was Boba Fett's gun, and they thought it was.
I think I saw that too. Yeah,
like $1 million or something like that. It's like something crazy, but
it is really crazy.
One more quick thing I wanted to bring up.
Camera died.
That
oh no,
I forgot to charge it. Whoopsie! Bush League amateur hour, folks. The guy that's supposed to have all this stuff worked out, but I don't.
But Derek had sent me one, but I'm going to talk about this real quick first. If you haven't already, I just picked these up. These just dropped. These are the deleted scene Funko Pops, and I did a little thing on them, which is pretty cool. But then Derek sent me these.
Huh.
And that
Yes.
is right up his alley for sure.
Yes. Just like my tattoo.
Which I thought was pretty cool. But Funko is just coming out with so many different things, and that's the unfortunate thing for me is collecting them because they come, just continue to come out with more. And I'm trying to stay away from some of the new stuff because I have so much stuff, and it's just, and stick with the classic. But some of the new stuff is just so cool. It's like, well, I got to get that as well. So, but if you haven't already, go check out these Funko Pops. And if you collect them, I don't know when the ones that Derek had just sent me, are they out yet, Derek, or is that something that's coming out?
I think they're coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the first three that I had put up there, which these are already, they just dropped. So it was like a pre-order October 4th. And actually, Jacob, my son, was like, hey, these are here at Walmart. And all three of them, I was like, get them quick. I haven't seen them yet. So so the big thing that I wanted to talk about, and I know Mike had talked about it yesterday, was a bunch of the Mandalorian stuff that we got going on. And this stuff with tomorrow, I know Mike's going to have a great podcast in reference to the was it Empire magazine?
Yeah,
Empire magazine. So that'll be coming out, but we're going to get this guy. And I think that's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really glad that they were talking about how much of it sounds like he's going to have a pretty decent part in this. And I think it's going to be cool to see him in action, because even the little bit that we've seen from Ahsoka season 1 and also the trailer, it just looks badass. So I think this will be really cool for us to get him in this, and along with a little bit switch up on some of the stuff that we got going on for the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, I mean, Zeb is a fan favorite character. We just finished talking about Sabine, but again, from Rebels, it's got such this big following, being that it's arguably, personally, my favorite Star Wars show there is. But Zeb has this huge following, and as you can see, like, people are in the chat. Jedi Jarvo is very excited. Zeb, he's going to draw heads like he did in The Mandalorian season 3 when he's only in it for like 2 seconds. People are going to be like, either who is this guy, or yes, let's go with Zeb. And getting to see him in action, because he's just sitting at the bar when we first saw him, is going to be great. We get a sneak peek at it in the trailer for the movie, and then hopefully we're going to get a lot more. My question to you guys and to the chat too is what do you think his role is going to be in this movie? Like, we assume he's just going to be giving Din Djarin his Razor Crest, but why? Like, why is he giving him his ship? What's up with that? Like,
I'm not sold on that yet. In reference to if that's what's going to happen, or if they're just going to be together. I totally understand, like you're talking about, with him being a bounty hunter, he can't get prisoners or do anything like that if he still has the N1.
Yeah.
But again, he's not really a bounty hunter anymore. He's wants to help out and do this and that. So I'm not sure about that in reference to him getting the Razor Crest from Zeb, but I think Zeb's going to be similar to what Teva is and what Mando is now. Maybe they're officers of the New Republic or whatever you want to call it, and they're going to probably match them up together because they know some. I mean, obviously Zeb knows Ahsoka. Mando's had some dealings with Ahsoka now, so they know some of the same people, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens and what part he plays. But I think he's a cool character, like you said, but also like Chewie. It's just it's an interesting alien that's a main character, but not a main character, and it's just something different. I mean, everybody loved Chewie, and he wasn't Luke or Han or Leia, but he was still a big character in the originals. And even now, I mean, he was in the prequels. So I think that was and the sequels. Shit, he's been in all over the place, because he is 900 years old. But I think Zeb's going to be the same way. Like you said, people are looking at him and go, who is this and what does he do? And oh, that's pretty cool. And I think he has a cool personality. He's a little rough around the edges, but I think that whole Rebels cast is a little rough around the edges, which makes that whole series so good with Chopper and Sabine and Ezra, especially that first season of Ezra. He's like, screw these people. At least the first couple episodes, he's going to still go do his thing, and then he finally figures it out. So that's my 2 cents.
I want his original lightsaber to come back.
Yeah, the blaster one.
And somebody was saying earlier, oh, they should switch Sabine from a blaster. No, just do what they did.
Yeah,
do what Ezra did. That'd be awesome.
It would be pretty great. That was like
my favorite.
It's such a cool idea. Like, how can you evolve the lightsaber? Oh, let's put a blaster on it. But going back to Zeb, as Papa Boz said in the chat, Zeb's just down to blow something up. He's gonna come in and cause some. He's gonna have some big action sequences. It's gonna be strange to see why he doesn't help. Like Din and Grogu are gonna go on this adventure together. Why doesn't Zeb go with them? Like, what is he up to? What does he have to do? Maybe you get a mention of, oh, he's got to go help Hera or go help somebody else for one reason or another, sort of a setup for season 2 of Ahsoka with just a line of like, where did Zeb have to go? Oh, he had to go help the Ghost crew because they got in this huge fight or whatever it is. That could set up Ahsoka season 2. But also, I actually think, and this goes against what Ron just said about the N1, I think the N1's going to get destroyed. Since we last met on Wednesday nights, I saw this rumor that Navarro in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to have this big battle scene on the planet of Navarro, ending with Din and Grogu's home that we see at the end of season 3 being completely destroyed. And this is just a rumor for now, so take it with a giant grain of salt. But if that's true, I could see in that big fight sequence the N1 being blown up, and then Din Djarin is left without yet again another ship, so he has to get a new ship, and that might be the Razor Crest. Also, you have to deal with Carl Weathers, who sadly passed away. You have to deal with Grief Karga as a character. If you have this big battle on Navarro, if it's the remnant of the Empire versus the people of Navarro, like nobody, Din Djarin, I guess, then you can have Grief die, it be this big catalyst to launch Din into the story, but you can also destroy the N1 starfighter, which explains why he gets the Razor Crest, and kick him off of Navarro. Because Navarro is a cool planet and all, but we want Din on places like Starkiller Base or on Mandalore or on Dathomir or on Atten. We want him in different locations. And again, him and Grogu were just kicking it back at the end of season 3, like father and son hanging out on Navarro. So you got to launch him into the action. You got to give him a reason to fight. And if his home gets destroyed, that would make a lot of sense. But what do you guys think? Navarro getting destroyed?
I think there's going to be a big battle, but I think both ships are going to be there because I think that the color scheme of the Razor Crest is still going to have something to do with it. Or maybe they had to use parts from it. I don't really know. But I think that they're gonna come to play together, and I think they're gonna be very important together.
I mean, I'm fully down for a combo of Razor Crest and N1. I don't want to see Din Djarin lose yet another ship, but I think you have to deal. The biggest thing is you have to deal with Carl, and you have to deal with Grief Karga. And how do you do that? Well, you can use him by respecting him. You can even give him a funeral because he's gonna die. And you can respect him in that way, honor him in that way, but also use him as a big catalyst for why Din Djarin is going to be hunting down Imperial Remnant, hunting down Shadow Council members, because whoever attacks Navarro is going to need, Din Djarin to come hunt them down, and you have something I want type deal. But he's already killed one Shadow Council member. Moff Gideon is down. If he's killing others, he's going to be enemy number 1.
Right.
to the Empire. So when Thrawn wants to come in, whenever he does that, and make a statement, he's gonna have to shut down Din Djarin, this one-man John Wick operation over here.
Well, but I think it'll be interesting because how are they going to know? So again, it could be the Shadow Council that comes after him because his little house thing is away from Navarro. It's a little bit, from the city. It's a little bit outside of it. So if they're going to come in and they're going to hit that, and that rumor is true, there's definitely somebody behind this going after him and possibly, Grief Karga. So I think it'll be interesting if that happens. what will happen to those ships, and if they do, if it's sitting there by the little hut, and obviously they blow it up, and the ship goes with it. And then on the other thing with Zeb, I don't know if he's not going to go with Mando. Maybe he goes to help and something happens. Not that he,
or maybe he's helping and they need a bigger ship because he can't fit 3 of them, and then 1. So Zeb's like, hey, by the way, I know where we could lift one of those.
What's funny too, and actually Zima brings it up in the chat, Moff Gideon's still alive. That's a big favorite fan theory, that Moff Gideon in season 3 doesn't have a mustache, so he's a clone, because he did have a mustache in the first 2 seasons. But I honestly think that he's dead. However, if you were to be like, who is attacking Din Djarin? Why would somebody attack Navarro? Well, Moff Gideon, to get his revenge, would do something like that. There's also a cloning facility, Imperial Remnant cloning facility on Navarro that Din and Grief Karga blew up together. So there's multiple reasons why they would attack Navarro.
I think it's interesting that some people do think that he's still alive.
It is weird. I mean, we watched him blow up.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times can you bring,
characters back to life?
Right. Again,
a lot.
Right.
It's kind of a Star Wars thing.
But they captured him. He gets away. He almost kills everybody. I mean, they did a good job with that. But then again, they come back, and how does everybody else die except him and the 3 of them? We know they were saved by Grogu. The other 2, and Grogu was using his power. But is he? And if he is a clone, they just destroyed the facility anyway. So unless he pulled it off, to the side. And I also think if you still have a pretty good bad guy like Moff Gideon, where does Thrawn come into play?
Yeah.
You still have to have someone, because he's right now, until Thrawn gets there, even like he says in that little meeting, he's like, where's Thrawn? I don't see him here. When is he coming? So now that Moff Gideon's gone, we're going to have Thrawn, whether he's mentioned, I don't think we'll see him, but whether he's mentioned in this or not, possibly now he's the new bad guy, and we're not going back to Moff Gideon again.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it would just take away from Thrawn, and it's like we've already done the Moff Gideon 3 times, Mando season 1, 2, and 3. So I've had enough Moff Gideon, and Grogu does save Din and Bo-Katan, who are both in Mandalorian Beskar armor. So if they thought that they couldn't survive that, then why could Moff Gideon if he's also in that same armor? I don't think he's alive, but there needs to be a reason why the Empire would come looking for Din Djarin specifically. I mean, maybe he does something at the beginning of the movie that the Empire's not really happy about, and then that's why they track him down, but I don't know.
Maybe they just need the cloning facility.
Yeah, well, that went kaboom, but yeah.
But there's remnants. There's always remnants, and maybe there was something left behind, like in a giant ship that you could use a knife to find things.
Well, funny enough, yes, you point out the wreckage of the second Death Star. I'd go back to the parks, because you go back to that ride, the Smuggler's Run, which is going to have a Mando crossover when the movie comes out on the release date. In one of those locations, there's 3 locations you can go to. It's Bespin, Coruscant, and the second Death Star. So that's one of those locations. So that'll be kind of interesting. But to your point of there being maybe some remnant on Navarro, Moff Gideon, to our knowledge, is the only one who has successfully done this cloning operation. He did it on Mandalore. So maybe Hux and those Starkiller base people, the Project Necromancer people, are trying to figure out what Moff Gideon did correctly and go off of that. And maybe Dr. Pershing comes back into the story and all that. Yeah.
See, there's a lot of things they can do.
Yeah. And Pershing could definitely give up Din Djarin, because he knows exactly who has Grogu.
That's true too. And my biggest thing is I'm watching Bad Batch right now. I'm on season 3, which is just, I mean, talk about underrated. Is Omega. Omega has been set up to be this. She's the only. She might not be Force sensitive, but she's the only character that in the entire universe that Palpatine could find, that Dr. Hemlock could find, that can transfer the midichlorians without any lossage of midichlorian count. So she's the only one who can transfer a Palpatine to a clone body. The only one that we know of. So where is she? Where is she in the Mandoverse? Where is she in this whole Project Necromancer thing? That's going to be a big old question mark because they didn't set that up for nothing.
She was on Alderaan.
No, incorrect. Yeah,
with Cal Kestis.
I need to get
with
that.
Cal Kestis. Yeah. Well, the Bad Batch season 3 ended not that long ago, and they set up Tantus, they set up Omega, they set up a lot of stuff for Thrawn to swoop in, or whoever to swoop in, Snoke in the First Order, whoever to swoop in and finish what Palpatine started, finish what Hemlock started, because now there's like a lineage, like Master and Apprentice, where it goes from Dooku to Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan to Anakin. Now it goes from Hemlock to Dr. Pershing to now to General Hux and to whatever eventually becomes Snoke. There's a lineage of creating Project Necromancer that takes over, I don't know, 50 years to do so. But they're going to have to tap back into that, and Omega has to play a role in that. They didn't just set her up for nothing. They didn't give her three seasons of a show for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What are you thinking about Jon Favreau's comments in reference to that? And I know we'll probably get a lot more tomorrow from this magazine. Hopefully it'll drop by. Do you have any idea when this might drop or when we're going to see that?
It's around like the afternoon, early morning, I guess. It's around like 10 to 12, I'd guess.
Okay. So you'll be able to get it and sort of sift through it a little bit before the podcast. But I was reading some of the stuff that he was saying, and just the direction that they're going in, I think is still going to be an interesting, take on it. But I also just watching your other short today in reference to the trailers. I thought that was interesting. I did not realize that when they come out with these trailers, they send some of these movie clips that they have, probably hundreds of hours with, and it's like, okay, here, we need you to put out a trailer, but we still have a year to edit. So some of that stuff, like you said, was it Rogue One or
Rogue One,
yeah, where some of those scenes that you see in the trailer aren't in the movie. So that could possibly happen with Mando and Grogu. Again, we sit here and we dissect them, we take them apart, we talk about this, and then it's like, oh, well, that might not even be in there. So I thought that was sort of interesting. So I think they've had so much, even though we get these little leaks here and there, I think it's gonna be a great story, but I think it might be a little bit different than we all think. Or that they're trying to send us in this direction where it might be going in this direction.
Yeah, I mean, what the little we got of Jon Favreau yesterday, he talks about it sort of as the next natural progression into the future of Din and Grogu's story, because they're sort of this ever evolving story. Din and Grogu from episode 1 of Mando season 1 are very different from the end of season 3. So you're going to continue to see that throughout the movie. I actually just saw a clip from Explore the Force, another Star Wars YouTube channel. They interviewed one of the Mandalorian under the suit guys. I forget his name, but that's besides the point, I guess. He is one of the guys who's Din Djarin when Pedro Pascal is not under the helmet, and they asked him if he could say a phrase or a word that would describe the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I just saw this today. And the phrase that he used was franchise changing. And that got me really excited. Like, people don't expect the Mandalorian and Grogu to take a chance, to take a risk, to show us something we've never seen before, because it's something we've already seen on Disney+. But people forget, too, that the first season of The Mandalorian was a huge risk, giving us a Star Wars live-action show, the first one ever, giving us a baby version of Grogu, giving us a character that looks like Boba Fett but isn't. Like, there was so much risk happening with The Mandalorian Season 1. They're going to continue to do that in this movie, with crazy reveals like in Season 2 of Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, and Ahsoka in live action for the first time. they can do whatever they want with this movie, and people are almost just assuming, I'm assuming, that they're going to keep it sort of simple. They're going to keep it easy to consume for maybe the normie fans, but they've never done that. That's never been what Star Wars has been when it came to the Mandalorian. So franchise changing sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, I think it'll be.
We're gonna lose Din. We're absolutely losing Din.
I've been saying that for months, and nobody likes to hear it.
I know you and I are on the same page. It's fine. Yeah. You guys, you might as well brace yourself for it because it's gonna happen.
Yeah, we should make shirts that say Din Djarin's gonna die.
I mean, I can do that. I can make shirts. I will.
He's already dead. Start coping now.
All right, let me get on my AI software here and just like the meat puppet last week.
Honestly, though,
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, franchise changing. When you think of that, it's like, well, from what we gather with this movie, Lucasfilm wants it to be the beginning of a new trilogy. So do we, but Lucasfilm wants it to be the beginning of a new trilogy, and Disney is saying no because they want to see a success in the box office first. So I assume it's going to be a success in the box office, which means we're going to be getting a trilogy. So The Mandalorian Grogu, for all intents and purposes, is the beginning of a new trilogy. So franchise changing is not that crazy if you're thinking we're getting 3 movies, not just 1, but 2 after it.
Right.
And it's setting up Thrawn as the head of the Empire, as the new villain, and all these other great stories that could be coming along the way.
Well, and they can keep Mando and Grogu as the name of the other movies because then it could be maybe Bo steps in with Grogu or Sabine. Yeah. Like there's options. Din is not going to make it out of the first movie. I'm sorry. He's not.
Right, let me ask you this. If you think this is going to be a trilogy, what's going to happen with Dave's trilogy? What's going to happen with Simon Kinberg's?
Yeah.
You know, or how is this going to fit in? And if we do, are you thinking we're only going to do 1 more season of Ahsoka, or you think that's going to be a season of Ahsoka 2 is going to go right into Filoni stuff? Or, you know, I mean, I'm all for a trilogy for this, and I'm all for Dave's trilogy and as much Star Wars as we can get. But I would just be interesting to see where it's going to fit into that if we do a trilogy.
Yeah. So from what I gather, at least, is Dave's movie. Dave didn't get a trilogy; he just got a movie. I think Dave's movie is going to be the second of the trilogy, and then the two of them maybe co-directing or something like that, or maybe just one of them. I don't know. Will direct the third movie, and it's just going to go bang, bang, bang. I think Ahsoka season 2 will be the in between of the 2 movies, first 2 movies, and then there'll be an in between of the second 2 movies, whether it's Skeleton Crew 2 or Boba Fett 2. Or I guess those are the 2 options. Either one of those. I don't think it'll be Ahsoka 3, and it definitely won't be Mando 4. So either Skeleton Crew or Book of Boba Fett, maybe even a Thrawn show would be great. But either way, something in between those 2 movies as well on Disney Plus to sort of bridge the gap. And you'll get a full-on trilogy with Disney Plus added to it, and it'll be sort of the test run for what the future of Star Wars is going to look like, because we're going to get more trilogies from here on out, and they're going to use Disney Plus and movies at the same time to make the best content they can. And when it comes to the Kinberg trilogy, from what we know, and it's still far out, but that's going to be post sequels.
Yeah, okay. I was confused, and I thought Dave was getting a trilogy as well, so that makes sense, where he can take this and we can go right into him directing the number 2 movie, and then maybe, like you said, a collaboration of the 2 of them on the third one, and that would make sense for them to do. I think we're going to have a little bit at the end. I mean, I don't think they do it. I don't think they do. They don't do it like Marvel does, where you have the end scenes and they give you a little bite here and there at the post-credit scenes or whatever. But I think they're going to leave it hanging a little bit. I think we will get some answers in Ahsoka season 2, which will, again, at the end of Ahsoka season 2 is going to sort of push us into, you know, maybe a little bit more of what Dave's going to bring us, which would be cool. You know, maybe a cliffhanger in there so they can do that. But Dave's is going to have to be in 2028 because we got Starfighter that in 27, and that's you know, that's going to be pretty much a standalone. I think we'll get a cameo or 2, but it's going to pretty much be a standalone. So that's not going to tie into that stuff. And then if we're going to do another trilogy after Starfighter, that's obviously has to be more in the future.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the movies, just movies, I think 26 is Mando, 27 is Starfighter, 28 is second Mando, 29 is probably Rey movie or something of that sort. Maybe the beginning of a new Rey trilogy. I don't know, but that's 29. 30 will be the end of the Mando trilogy. 31 will be the second movie of that trilogy. It'll just go on forever. We're going to get a Star Wars movie for the next at least 10 years with all the content we've gotten. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be like the sequels, at least 1 year in between, because they did 15, 17, 19. You're going to see 26, 28, 30 for a Mando trilogy. Yeah.
Old.
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be old?
Yeah. Oh, it will be awesome. And that's what I've said even before on this. It's like, it's really cool because at least for me and even for you guys, but I was lucky enough to start at the beginning, with the OGs, 20 years from now, there's still going to be Star Wars stuff coming out, which is going to be amazing,
Yeah. And you're
Getting
getting
in the nursing
now?
homes and like, the new Star Wars is coming out. I can't wait.
I'm going to have a Star Wars coffin. My wife already said something to me about that.
Oh, there you go.
No. We just got to burn you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Vader. Yeah, no, but we're getting more Star Wars content now in 2025 than we've ever gotten. Like, we're getting more content every single year than ever. Like, the last 6 years has been the most content than the first 40. So it's been really, we've been lucky as Star Wars fans. But I saw an interview because it was a couple weeks ago where it was the 13-year anniversary of George selling to Disney, and you see George in that interview say, "I'm selling the company because, well, I want to retire, but also I want Star Wars to live on for another 100 years. And it's going to, like, it's not going anywhere."
Yeah,
as we sit here and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a buddy of mine send me something the other day in reference, and I think it's just, again, it's probably AI, but it was a picture of, George with his, with the camera, leaning on the camera, and it says Lucas is in talks to work on a new Star Wars movie.
I also saw that.
I think would be amazing, but I think it's just, again, it's more AI stuff, or it's more people hoping for that type of stuff, because I think if that was the case, we would hear about it. But I also think he's spending so much time on his museum, he doesn't have any time for anything else, as big as that thing is going to be.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. If there was anything like any sort of validity to that, I would be talking about it like no other. Like, I'd be all over that. But yeah, there's been nothing, actually, almost all to the contrary of George ever returning to Star Wars. So
yeah.
Now, one thing I think would be cool, Ron, you kind of mentioned with AI, we're getting so close that people are going to be able to use AI to remake all of the movies the way they want them done.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
really interesting.
It's the fan experience, though. I mean, people have been making Star Wars what ifs forever. I mean, it's just going to go to the next level where fans can take it upon themselves to make their own content. And that's not something, it's not new, but now it can look better. And you can make your own version of the story, which is cool. You're still going to have the canon, and then you can have your head canon, as we talk about all the time here. I was just thinking about this, though, that a big death in the beginning of a trilogy has happened in every trilogy. So if Din Djarin's going to die in this one, Han Solo dies in Force Awakens, Obi-Wan dies in A New Hope, and Qui-Gon dies in The Phantom Menace.
Mark my words.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the end of the...
Yeah, it would have to be at the end of the movie, I think. It's not going to be, it's not going to be an Obi-Wan, where a quarter way through, one of these characters we think is the main character gets cut down.
I could see it being like the last scene or almost last scene.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. One of the last scenes for sure. And I think it will almost, I don't know how Grogu will react, but it's almost how everybody else will react is I guess the more important thing. And again, it will have to lead into Ahsoka season 2, because Ahsoka season 2 is going to come out months after and lead off from that. So if Din dies, there has to be some mention of that, especially with Zeb crossing over from project to project.
Unless he dies too.
Yeah. Well, we know for a fact he's in Ahsoka season 2. Yeah.
Maybe he comes back.
He's back to life. Yes.
Maybe that's why they're on Navarro. They cloned him.
Nobody dies in Star Wars.
No one's ever truly gone.
No one's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
well, I will say, I think by the end of the Mando trilogy, again, this supposed Mando trilogy, there'll be a bigger death. Not bigger in terms of like Din Djarin's not a big character, but I'm talking like an older character like Bo-Katan, who's been around forever, or Boba Fett, who's been around forever. Somebody who's not in the sequels that would be very meaningful. Maybe Hera or Ezra or something like that.
Grogu.
No, definitely not.
I
Grogu.
don't think. Yeah.
No,
He
turns to the dark side. That's what's going to happen.
That would be way better. Think about that. Like they're already selling so many Grogu toys. Imagine he turned to the dark side. Like imagine you're selling Grogu toys with
Oh my
red
God.
Sith eyes and a red lightsaber.
At least they have to do like one of the Lego things because we've got Darth
Yeah.
Jar Jar. Like you gotta have him.
Yeah,
It'd be
and
so great.
you got to think too. Like he gets the option from Luke of the chainmail of Grogu from Din Djarin, or the lightsaber from Yoda, and he just looks at that and he's like, green. Gross. I'm gonna get a red lightsaber, and then he's a Sith Lord now.
I mean, he did already kill all those eggs.
True. Yeah, he's already a murderer.
He's going after younglings already.
He force chokes Cara Dune. I mean, like he's not the greatest guy. If we're being honest.
Yeah, the Mudhorn, that poor Mudhorn.
Yeah, Din Djarin stealing its egg. Like, who's the real bad guy here? What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's Grogu the whole time. That they were Moff Gideon was trying to protect us from him.
I think that would be interesting, but I don't think that would happen just because of the family orientation of that type of thing.
What's more family than somebody turning evil?
Yeah,
or maybe my family.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, marketing, yes. I mean, now all of a sudden, everybody that's got the cute little Grogu, now they all got to go buy the Sith Grogu,
Yeah.
So they have to do that, which would be, and again, the marketing.
Think of the merchandise.
Yes.
It would beg the question, though, and even if he doesn't turn dark side, it still begs the question: where is he in the sequels? Is he going to be involved in Rey's Jedi Order? Like Grogu is this guy who can live up to 900 years old, and he's already your fan favorite character. So you're gonna probably keep him around for the next 900 years. It's more so how he fits into the story and where is he during the events of what we at least know comes in the sequel trilogy.
That's the biggest one for me, is where they're gonna fit him in. Because again, I think you're right, and in reference to possibly talking about Luke and Ahsoka, where were they during the OG stuff?
Yeah.
Or even the sequels, like were they on Peridia? Are they dealing with Abeloth, so they can't talk to Rey, or they can't, whatever? They're dealing with something else somewhere that's big enough so big that they can't deal with anything else. So I think that's a good explanation where they're on Peridia for maybe forever.
Or maybe Grogu chases Thrawn back and has to fight the Chiss or something.
Yeah, because it's going to be interesting as he gets older and learns to we're going to have words, obviously, hopefully, where he's going to start talking. He's going to start using the Force a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we'll see him wield the light. Do you guys think we'll see him wield the lightsaber?
Absolutely.
At some point, yeah, he's got to.
Okay.
I think the big thing is what his first words are going to be and what he sounds like, because I mean,
that's going to be huge.
It's going to have like some super deep voice, like, hey,
I
mean, it can't be goofy either. It can't be like a goofy voice or young, I mean, I guess it could be young and you could change it maybe the next movie as he gets older, but
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that, and then I'm sure they have that all figured out already. I'm sure Dave, Dave and John have it figured out, and they probably have his death or what they're going to do with him during the sequels.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just don't see, when I imagine the Rey movie and I imagine the new Jedi Order, I just don't see Grogu there. So I don't know what he's doing, but I don't see him being there. He already denied Luke. But he denied Luke for Din Djarin. So if Din Djarin's dead, like, will he still deny that? Will he still be a Mandalorian?
Yeah, Zima said something like that. He might go back to Luke if Din does die. He might go back to Luke for a little bit and see what's going on with that. And I think that's more of a possibility than him joining with Rey later on. I
just think
we go back.
There's a lot of Luke's Jedi Temple that we need to see, of course, but there's also a lot of people who die at Luke's Jedi Temple, and I don't think Grogu's going to be one of them.
Yeah,
No.
I'm thinking that he's going to be somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something important, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's fighting the Chiss or maybe helping them. I don't know, because Thrawn's not a bad guy. He's just misunderstood.
Yeah,
I like me some Thrawn. That's a solid dude right there.
Pretty great character.
Pretty great.
Yeah, no, I really hope, especially if we get this trilogy, that Thrawn is the Thrawn that we got from the canon books. Because if they just make him a straight up villain and don't even mention the Chiss and don't even do any of that stuff, that would just be a huge waste opportunity, because you don't just have the opportunity to give his backstory, but you have the opportunity to give us a great new bad guy in the Grisk. Like that can be a villain for a long time in the post-sequel world, because it's being set up in the original trilogy. In the pre-original trilogy time period, you're talking about a threat that Rey and the New Jedi Order could be going up against, that Vader and Thrawn and the Empire went up against. Like, that would be really, really cool.
Yes. Amazing and new, but yet not.
Yeah. New, but not. Exactly. It's like the Yuzhan Vong, but sort of a canon version of it. Just like, Thrawn has got his canon version. I know everybody loves the Heir to the Empire books, and I do too. But Thrawn in canon is like 10,000 times better than Thrawn in Legends. And I think we have a lot more content with him in canon now, and a lot more of a backstory to him in canon. But there's so many Legends characters like Mara Jade. Took me 56 minutes. Mara Jade, but also like the Yuzhan Vong and stuff like that they can come over to. Oh my God, look at that! Can come over to canon, and their characters can be different but similar. Like, not the exact same one-to-one copy like we get with Thrawn. He's not the exact same one-to-one copy. Because in Legends, he's just a villain. He's just a bad guy for bad guy's sake.
But we know better. We know better.
Yeah. And it's cool because Palpatine is a bad guy for bad guy's sake. Palpatine is just this badass, cool villain, and everybody loves him. We need something different, and Thrawn is different, and hopefully they do it right,
Zima, purple, yeah, but red, when she's on that dark side.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many different, because again, right now she's still canon. Or Legends.
Yeah,
correct?
Legends. Yeah.
Well, for a little bit longer.
We'll see.
Not much longer.
Yeah. But circling this all back to the Mandalorian Grogu itself, when you're in this time period with possibly Mara Jade, when you're in this time period, we talked about Omega, who should be showing up eventually. You have now the connection of Thrawn, who is on Dathomir with all these Night Sisters, and you have all these loose ends of the skeleton crew, of how Ahsoka Season 1 ended, how Book of Boba Fett has Boba, Fennec, Vespa Gang on Tatooine, how Mando Season 3 ended with the Mandalorians now back in their home world, and you have the biggest cliffhanger of all, I guess, of Derek's favorite, Cal Kestis, who's connected directly, and Marin, who's connected directly to Dathomir and the Night Sisters, and Asajj Ventress, who is a Night Sister herself. There is so many loose ends that are from the Bad Batch, or the video games, or the Tales shows, or anything and everywhere that can be tied together perfectly with the Mando trilogy. And you just got to imagine that Dave Filoni has this giant whiteboard in his room that has all those lines connecting to one specific location, whether it's this trilogy or a specific movie or a specific scene where all these people, it's like an Avengers Assemble moment. They come together and figure it out. But there's so many loose ends that have all popped up within the last 10 years. All of them, from Cal to Asajj coming back to life, to Bad Batch, to all the live action stuff with the skeleton crew, etc. They're all leading somewhere. And that's like really cool. That's like Marvel in 2017, like all these different lines connected. Like, it's really, really cool.
It reminds me of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Charlie is Pepe Silva.
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And he's got all the lines drawn up
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah. So I think we're in for quite the ride over the next couple of years.
I'm
Well,
gonna
and
make that
again, like
into a
you said
meme.
earlier, if they're going to change it up, that could definitely be an interesting way to change it up.
Yeah.
You know,
I just Omega's the weird one to me. Omega's such a very important key character because when you look at the other animation stuff, Dave set up Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and she's this huge character right now. He set up the Ghost Crew in Rebels, and they're all important characters right now, including Thrawn. He set up this whole 3-season series about the Bad Batch, but specifically Omega. There's going to be a huge role for her in this story.
oh yeah.
Somehow, some way.
What at the end of Jedi Survivor, where is Cal Kestis and Marin?
He's on Tanalorr
Okay.
and he agrees to take care of Bode's daughter because he, just spoiler alert, killed Bode because he was evil. But he agrees to take care of his daughter. So the daughter is sort of a big question mark.
Mhm.
The third game, I really don't know where they're going to go with that. It could be like a God of War type scenario where you got the what the hell's his name? Whatever. It's the father and son duo type deal. You could have something like that in Jedi 3, but we have no idea when Jedi 3 comes out. So I don't really want to wait for that game to wait for Cal Kestis to come into
Well,
the
that's
store.
why I was wondering, because I wonder if he will have a cameo in Ahsoka if they show up on Dathomir, which obviously that they're going to. He's going to bring the Night Sisters there and resurrect them and see what he can do with the clone troopers or the troopers and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I was just interested to see if he was on Dathomir already with Marin, or they're, because that would be a great way, I think, to introduce him in Ahsoka, on Dathomir somehow,
Yeah.
and then you could bring them both in.
That would be really cool. Maybe like one of the leaks we got for Ahsoka season 2 was that Hera, Chopper, and Ezra will be on Dathomir if they run into Cal Kestis, because like Cal gets sort of maybe a tip that somebody's active on Dathomir because he's been to Dathomir so many times. Like if he finds out that somebody's there doing some weird stuff and it's Thrawn, and then he shows up to try and scout it out, but also Hera, Chopper, and Ezra are there to scout it out too, and they run into each other, that'd be pretty cool. But if we go based off of the fact that in Jedi Survivor, they go to this lost planet of Tanalorr, this hidden planet, you could have with Marin, Cal, Bode's daughter, and maybe some others that they come across along the way, you could have Cal Kestis almost start his own version of a Jedi Order, like alongside or separate to Luke Skywalker's, because with Grogu, because Cal is not. He's a former Jedi of the Republic, and Luke wasn't. But he also has just years and years of a head start, because Luke doesn't start his Jedi Temple till years and years later. If Cal starts now in the pre-original trilogy time period, but it's hidden away on Tanalorr, like we don't know where Grogu was for the 20 years between Order 66 and the Mandalorian season 1. What if he was hanging out with Cal Kestis?
Was it that long?
Order 66 is in 19 BBY, and the Mandalorian and Grogu, or the Mandalorian season 1, I believe, is in 8 ABY. So it would have been 27 years.
Oh shit. Okay. I thought it was like 9 or 10. So that makes
because
more sense. Yeah.
No, Luke and Leia are born at the end of right after Order 66,
right.
And then they're 19 in A New Hope, and now they're like 25, 26.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. All right. I think that covers the new stuff for the most part. I think I don't have you got anything else, Mike, that you've seen since your podcast? Go ahead.
Well, somebody just pointed out in the chat, they said, Mike, are you still leaning towards the possibility of Malicos being around?
No.
It's a weird thing. If you don't really know what we're talking about, if you're in the chat, Taron Malicos is a villain of Jedi Fallen Order, the first game, and Cal Kestis fights him on Dathomir, sorry, and Merrin buries him alive. So the theory is that, well, he was buried alive, maybe he's still alive and he's stranded on Dathomir for all these years until Thrawn shows up. And then you'd have sort of a canon version of Jorah Sabaoth with Taron Malicos. That would really be diving into the Jedi games and, building up all that stuff. It would be a new character for some, for most, and for the people who played the Jedi games, it would be like, oh, that's really cool. It's Taron Malicos. So I'd be down for it, but it's kind of a far-fetched theory if he's surviving that long on Dathomir by himself,
Yeah, I agree. But maybe he turns into a zombie.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. I mean, the Night Sisters could bring his dead body back to life. Exactly. Like, yeah.
And maybe that's why Cal ends up there, because they bring him back.
And that would be crazy. Taron Malicos versus Cal Kestis Part 2.
On the big screen.
I mean, that's a pretty hard boss battle, depending on what level you have it on in the first game.
All the way extreme, as far as it'll go.
Yeah.
Is that Jedi Master or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
I was trying to find him.
Be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more you connect to those Jedi games, obviously the more of the third game you will sell. But it's just a great story and great characters that they've already established. I played both those games. I'm not a big... Yeah, there's Taron Malicos right there. So he's already really old in that game. So he's going to be even older, or unless he's brought back to life, yeah. But he's going to be even older if he's alive. But the more you connect to those games, like, that's going to be a trilogy in and of itself with the Jedi games that will be looked at as one of the best trilogies, because that first game is a masterpiece to pretty much everybody. I thought the second game was even better than the first, but that's sort of I guess a hot take to some people. But you have two bangers of a game. If you end that trilogy off on a bang, like, you're going to have a really great story. And not just for video game players, but I know, Ron, you've watched through all the cutscenes. Like, it's just a great story, even if you're not a video game fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what, obviously somebody had that in their mind. So we're going to see Cal Kestis, I think, at some point. And I just think it would be cool to see him in Ahsoka, because again, we're going to get all this Mandalorian and Grogu stuff, but I think as much as we're going to get a cool story for Ahsoka season 2, to have him and Merrin in it just as a cameo or something, or even just to introduce them, so we have an idea of who they are in the next movie, that would be amazing, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be right back, fellas. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Oh,
we will.
He just sent me a be right back thing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this in reference to what you guys think in this movie, Return of the Jedi. We obviously have a title for it, and there, I think, throughout the years has been interesting to see who thought what in reference to this. What does this? Yes, very nice. What is the who is the Jedi they're talking about? Are they talking about Luke? Are they talking about Darth Vader? Or are they talking about the whole Jedi Order? And I asked Nick this before when he was telling me he wasn't going to be on, and I have his answer, which I think is pretty cool. I think mine's a little bit different than his, but I just think it's interesting. And I know everybody had brought up, at first, I think probably everybody in this chat knows, I know the three of us know, it was going to be Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be interesting to see what people think in reference to this, because I think we also have the same type of thing in reference to The Force Awakens. Who are they talking about in The Force Awakens? Are they talking about Rey? Are they talking about Finn? Are they talking about everybody? So it's interesting to see what they have going on with that. So what's your take on that, Mike, in reference to Jedi?
I think a lot of Star Wars movies have that, like you said, The Force Awakens. the Last Jedi. You could argue that it was Luke because he is the Last Jedi, or you could argue it's Rey because after Luke dies, she's the Last Jedi. There's a lot of that. Rise of Skywalker. If you think Rey's a Skywalker, it could be her. It could be Ben Solo coming back. It could be Luke's Force Ghost helping out. Like there's a lot of like some are pretty straight and to the point, like Attack of the Clones. But when it comes to Return of the Jedi, I think you can look at it many different ways. Like there's no right answer, but the way I look at it is Anakin, because maybe at the time when the original trilogy was coming out, this wasn't the plan. But now when you have the prequels and you have the full story, it's Anakin because he's the one who's returning. He's coming back to the light. He's coming back to being a Jedi, and he's saving the day. Yes, you can say that the Luke is also a Jedi and he's returning, but you could argue that Luke's kind of a Jedi in Empire. Like he's training with Yoda and he becomes a Jedi after that training. You could argue that too. But I just think it's Anakin because of the sacrifice that he makes. He's returning, but you could obviously look at it in many number of ways, because after he dies, then the Jedi does return and the Sith does end and you can start a new Jedi order. There's a million different ways to look at it, but to me, it's Anakin in his return to becoming a Jedi.
Nice. Well, and that's I'll do mine in a second. I'm gonna read what Nick had put on here, because I thought his was pretty interesting as well. He said, I always took it as the Jedi, like a parallel. Look at Luke was truly brought back as a Jedi by redeeming his father and not giving in to the dark side as well. So he's a Jedi, he's redeeming his father, and he hasn't gone to the Jedi. So he looked at it more of as like Luke, or even the Jedi as a whole, because now the Jedi are starting to come back because Luke is going to start his new Jedi temple, which I thought was a pretty good answer as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he looked at it that way. So a little bit different than what you thought, or what your opinion was. But and Derek, I'll let you go next. But I thought that was interesting. It brings up a lot of different things and theories. Like you said, everybody has their opinion on it, and there is so many different views on who the Jedi were, and same with, like you said, even the prequels or the sequels. They have so many different things. Are they talking about Luke? Are they talking about Rey? The Skywalker stuff? So
yeah.
Derek, what do you think in reference to this? What's your opinion? Luke, is it Darth Vader, Anakin, or is it the Jedi Order? Possibly coming back.
Well, so for me, it is about the original name of the movie, The Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah. So but I was telling Ron before we came on, actually, the guy that designed the original logo for that and Return of the Jedi, he's an artist in the building that my job is in, which is really cool. And like he's in one of the books with George Lucas, and like he's been to Skywalker Ranch and done this stuff. And so like I asked him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about Star Wars." And I was like, "Okay, that's neat." But anyways, if you kind of like, to me, thinking of that original name, I think it was changed. They have theories and they say why, but I think it gave away too much. And so for me, the Revenge of the Jedi is actually the revenge of twofold. It's Luke and the rebels are now the Jedi. All of them. The Jedi have changed. And it's Darth Vader becoming Anakin, and it's his revenge on Palpatine.
Yeah.
So I think it's all of the things.
I agree to an extent. I mean, the Revenge of the Sith title just comes sort of based off of the title of the trilogy, which is A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back. So then there has to be a striking back to that, which is the Revenge of the Jedi. So the Empire Strikes Back, and then the Jedi take the revenge for the striking back. I think always the explanation you hear is that they changed it from revenge because Jedi don't take revenge,
right?
Which, I mean, makes sense, I guess, when you watch the prequels and all that. But again, this is like in George's head, and we're just trying to read his mind at this time. Like we don't really know what he was thinking, like truly thinking. But it's not so simple as just one answer, I suppose. It's just,
it's cryptic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
absolutely. But I'm sort of siding with you, Mike, a little bit. And actually, I've sort of changed because I really didn't. It's funny because until we started doing this and just diving into different things and me actually hearing that theory, at first I always thought it was Return of the Jedi. Here comes Luke. He is now a Jedi. The Jedi
Yeah.
are returning. But now that I've thought about it and we've talked about it and just different things that have gone on in the last almost 50 years since that, I think it is. I think it's the Anakin. I think it's Anakin, you know, returning and to be a Jedi because he is the chosen one, and
Yeah.
the story is about him. I think it's about the Skywalkers and the Palpatines, obviously after the sequels, but more about the Skywalkers, and I think this whole thing is based around this one, Anakin Skywalker slash Darth Vader. And I think when he is redeemed, like we talked about with this whole Ben Solo thing, is he's just killed so many people. He can't just come back and be like, oh, hey, I'm Ben Solo now. I'm not Kylo Ren anymore. Let's have a
Yeah.
party and I'm going to be on your side. But I think with Vader killing or thought he killed Palpatine and turning on his master, I think that is a big salvation, saying, "Hey, you know what? I know I've done all this wrong for the last 20 some years. I am going to take the worst person in the galaxy right now and kill him because I think I'm going to go back and I've seen what I've done wrong."
Yeah.
If he killed a few people that were bad guys or this and that along the way and blew up a star destroyer, oh well. But I think him taking Palpatine and killing him, so to speak, I think
Yeah.
that was a good redemption for him. And then for him to come back and have that scene with Luke on the second Death Star is just so powerful, where it's like he figured out what's going on and he wants to come back. So it's a return of that Jedi, I feel like. And again, I'm sure there's 100 different people out here that would
Yeah.
disagree with me, but that's my opinion on that. And I just thought it was sort of an interesting thing as we go along that I never thought of it like that until probably a few months ago, maybe a couple of years ago, where I was like, oh, that's an interesting aspect, because I always thought it was Luke. I always thought
Yeah.
that was about Luke. And as we continue to get more and more stuff with Darth Vader and Anakin, it's just for me now, I've sort of switched on to that where I think it is Darth Vader, sort of the return of that Jedi.
It is cool because it's something that's happened in Star Wars over and over again with the almost not a retcon, but it makes like with added information, you look at something completely differently. And obviously now when you watch, for example, if you watched A New Hope and you watched Vader versus Obi-Wan fight each other on the Death Star, it's a cool fight. It's like whatever. But when you watch the prequels and you watch them fight on Mustafar and you watch the whole relationship that they had, then you watch Kenobi and you watch their fight on that planet there. Like all of that builds up to that fight in A New Hope being a lot more meaningful. Same thing can be said about this. Like Return of the Jedi probably at the time meant maybe Luke Skywalker and how the Jedi have returned. And in the aftermath of the movie, the Jedi Order will return. But now, with the information that we know about Vader, it can also mean Anakin's return and all that because we got the prequel trilogy and we got all this other stuff. So it does evolve over time, I suppose.
So I found the picture of the original of his artwork of that. I know it's hard to see.
That's cool.
But if you see under that, it's the art of the Empire Strikes Back. And so he's in that book with George, like sitting at a table going over artwork and fonts that he created.
That's awesome. Actually, can you pull that up again one sec? Doesn't
Yeah, I
this look
can-
like doesn't that look like the Tales of the Jedi stuff we get?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oops,
Oh,
it
I
went
went
off.
away. It died forever.
It looks
And you can
exactly
see like he's like created like the Bon Jovi logo. He did the Purple Rain album. He's done tons of stuff. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
I'll send this to you guys.
That's really cool. But yeah, I mean, things now in Star Wars have so many different meanings, which is so cool. I mean, we could debate about this. It's not like any of us are wrong.
Well, and
But
it's like the Force Awakens, like I said. I thought that, that sort of triggered me as well because like you were saying it, my opinion, I don't think it has anything to do with Finn. I think for me that just has to do with Rey. We figure
Yeah.
out, Palpatine says that. And we're right, wasn't it Palpatine or was it Snoke?
Snoke.
This says
Yeah.
Snoke says it. So there's an awakening. And I don't think it's Ben. I don't think it's Finn. I think that is Rey. In my opinion, that's particularly, what
Yeah, and I mean, you look at all the sequel trilogy movies, The Force Awakens, you could argue it's Finn, you could argue it's Ben, you could argue it's Rey. The Last Jedi, you could argue it's Luke, you could argue it's Rey. With The Rise of Skywalker, you could argue it's Kylo Ren, you could argue it's Rey, you could argue it's Leia, who dies and rises. That's what's honestly cool about it, and that's also kind of an issue people have with the Mandalorian and Grogu title. Is not only is it a mouthful, but it also doesn't have that, like, you're not guessing who is the Mandalorian and who is Grogu. It's not very Star Warsian, I suppose.
Yeah. So I want to know what you guys think in the chat. Derek's going to put up a poll. Do you guys think in Return of the Jedi was it Darth Vader, was it Luke, or was it something or someone else? I'd just be interested to see what you guys are thinking in the chat here, because I just thought that was interesting.
Right. We are
up and going. What's your thoughts on The Force Awakens?
I think it's Rey. I mean, we just did the watch party, and I mean, if it was just the awakening, then you would say it's Finn too, because he does, like, the first scene is him waking up from this whole, Stormtrooper Empire thing or First Order thing. So he's awakening. He's the first one to awaken, but although he does, tease that he could be Force sensitive, it's not really that confirmed, and it's not like the Force Awakening. It's not until Snoke doesn't say that until they've encountered Rey, because he's like, there's been a disturbance, there's been an awakening. Do you feel it or whatever? And then he says it's in the scavenger girl. So like they pretty much say that it is her. But I do like the idea that it could be Ben Solo, because the dyad and, the connection that the two of them have and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think we didn't know. I mean, I guess we did, and probably most of the people in the chat knew who he was. Sort of, it's a little bit different than, canon and legends for Ben Solo, but I think it was sort of something that we all had an idea on, but we weren't sure. This exact character doesn't follow the exact, as it does in Legend. So that could definitely be another thing where it could be Kylo or Ben, whichever way you want to look at it. But, and especially as they continue to talk about what's happening at the temple, what Luke's perception of what happened at the temple and what Ben's perception happened at the temple are totally different,
Yeah. And before I read this too, because I'm going to forget, also, you could say it's Ben because when he's talking to Vader's helmet, he says, help me, grandfather. I feel that pull towards the light again. So it's that awakening of him feeling that pull towards the light. But this says from Theories of the Force, which, by the way, they were talking about the hunt for Ben Solo. Today is Adam Driver's birthday.
Yeah.
So 42nd birthday.
42.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But I have a personal theory that the Skywalker bloodline is a continued living will of Anakin, similar to the Wolf Doom as Kanan's continued will. So the Return of the Jedi, to me, has to be both. Interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's both.
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of both. And there's no wrong answer to the question. But
although there could be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, oh, it's clearly
it's the Ewoks. Everybody knows
Ewoks.
It's the Ewoks.
They're the Jedi Order. I will say, though, what's kind of interesting was the word Sith. It's not something that was ever established until the prequel era. So at the time of Return of the Jedi, even like you look at the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy, they don't call Palpatine a Sith. They don't call Jorah Sabaoth a Sith. They call them Dark Jedi. So there was no Sith ever. There were only Dark Jedi. So, I mean, Return of the Jedi, of course, is not referring to Palpatine, but still, it is interesting that Jedi and Sith were both interchangeable. You just had to put the word dark in front of it because the word Sith never existed.
Yeah, that's interesting. I forgot about that. It's been a while. I probably need to read those again.
Yeah.
You just read them a few months ago, didn't you?
Yeah. I've read 7 Thrawn books in the last couple months. It's pretty great.
Ah, man.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
That's awesome.
Also, as I see people talking about Ewoks in the chat, Ewoks, the word Ewok was never mentioned in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
The name Palpatine never mentioned in the original trilogy. He's not named Palpatine, I think, until like a novelization of maybe Return of the Jedi. But yeah, he's never mentioned as Palpatine. The Ewoks are never mentioned. Sith are never mentioned. Like the original trilogy, if you just watch that, you don't really get all those ideas. Like Palpatine's, the Sith, all those ideas come around, or names come around in the prequel trilogy, and we just know them like it's just common phrases.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Derek.
And I mean, they don't call him Darth in any of the original, do they?
Darth Sidious?
Yeah. Or do
I don't know. I don't think so, but yeah, I mean, his name is the Emperor for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the cool thing about it, because you didn't need any of those words back then.
No, you didn't.
And that's a cool thing now, where we have those words, but they have explanations. And I think that's what we're gonna get with so much of this stuff coming out. Like
now,
just because of the wanting to know why Luke is the way he is right now.
Yeah.
Different things like that. I think they're going to answer some of these questions. So,
yeah. I mean, at the time, they weren't answered for the originals. But I got a question for you, Ron, because I wasn't, and maybe Derek too, but I wasn't alive to witness this. When
Tread lightly, Mike.
When the wheel was invented, did you ever?
Man, back before dirt was a thing.
Yeah. When the prequels rolled around, did you immediately know, specifically the Phantom Menace, I suppose, did you immediately know that the Palpatine senator guy was the Emperor, or was that like a reveal that came along later down the line?
For me, I knew because I knew his character, and I knew from being the Emperor, even though they didn't say who he was.
Yeah,
I knew that's who that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was.
And I don't know if there was
implied.
enough. Yeah, I thought so.
Well, if you watch the prequels, of course, the first one's called The Phantom Menace, so you're looking for this mysterious bad guy, and it's made pretty clear that Palpatine is the guy in the hood. It's never specifically explained. They point to him and ominous music plays, but it's not like something that they physically say in the prequels. So having grown up watching both the originals and prequels at the same time, and I don't even have a memory of watching Star Wars for the first time because it was so long ago. I didn't know if if people in 1999 were like, "Who's this Palpatine guy?" and then by the time of Revenge of the Sith, they were like, "Oh my god!" I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sure there were, but I think at that time, and Derek probably was too. I mean, we were big enough fans that, because I can specifically remember recognizing him and saying, "Oh, that's Palpatine. That's Sidious," and whether it was one or the other.
It's played by the same actor, so it's like people who are in the know, like you guys, would probably get it immediately, but normie fans might not have. It's like
you're absolutely right.
I think I knew because they were doing so much press for it, and he had done an interview, and in the interview they tied it back to the original. He's like, they were like, "What was it like to come back?"
Yeah,
and it was like, "Oh,
well, it's like today you have people who've never seen Rebels watch Ahsoka and see Hera and Ezra and Sabine and go, "Oh, these are nice new characters," but people already know who they are. Or like Zeb coming in too. But that's very interesting. It's like, I mean, because I didn't watch them when they first came out, it's like hearing stuff like when people watched A New Hope, they just assumed that Vader was a droid or just fully mechanical. And then when in Empire, yes, he reveals that he's Luke's father, spoiler alert, but he also they also show a scene of him putting on his helmet so that you can see that under the helmet he's a real person, and that was a big like reveal to a bunch of people because they thought he was a droid. And I was like, I never really thought of that. Watching A New Hope, thinking because he never takes his helmet off, thinking that he's a droid the entire time.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes. I think is watching that, his helmet come down on him like that, because we didn't know that. We didn't know, he was just this, this guy or this machine or whatever. So I thought that was one of the coolest scenes for me to see that. Larry says that he didn't know, and I know he's close to my age, if not maybe a little bit older. But yeah, I think again I think if you were so into it, and at that time when they started talking about these prequels coming out, I mean, I was flipping my lid. I was like, this is awesome, because I thought, first of all, the 3 OGs were incredible. I loved them. And now they're done. Damn it, we're not going to have anything else. Maybe we'll get some books and stuff. Again, it was, see, Larry, you're a couple years older than me. So, but at the time when more Star Wars was coming out, that's when this stuff started happening. That's when I started really getting into it. I had the old 70s stuff and the 80s stuff, and and they'd have a couple things here and there, but it sort of died off. So, and same with me. Even in high school, it wasn't cool in high school, at the time. But as in '99, I was obviously graduated and doing stuff, so I was just so excited about this new stuff coming out. It was just a little bit, obviously a little bit different than
it's funny you say that too, because like, oh, it's Star Wars wasn't cool back then, but everybody watched it. It just wasn't like mainstream to wear shirts.
Right, but I mean,
no, you're right. It's
for me at the time, it wasn't, because it had already gone by. It was 83, and then by the time I was in high school, it was right around that time, right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was interesting to see, what was going on at the time. And then when they announced this, it was just like, especially with George being, backing it, it was like, oh, this is going to be amazing, and I always thought it was, and I think Derek did too. I wasn't a Hayden hater. I wasn't, again, I thought Jar Jar was a little goofy, but again, we need those type of things in there.
I mean, I was in 8th grade, so like for me it was awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect timing.
I think I would have. My cousin was like, he's 2 years younger than me, so he was in 6th grade when it came out, and I remember like he had all the toys and everything. I was so jealous. I was like, I really want all the toys, but like I'm in 8th grade, like I shouldn't be playing with toys. I've got drums and stuff that I play with. Right. So, but it was like I'd go over to his house and play with all his Star Wars toys. It's like, oh, okay, cool, because they were.
I was in 7th grade when The Force Awakens came out.
Yeah, go away.
But no, it is fascinating to see how like different it was when it first came out versus now in 2025. How like the story has evolved. Even now, when people watch the sequel, when we watched the sequels when they first came out, we saw Snoke and we were like, "Who's this Snoke guy? He's awesome. He's definitely not Palpatine." He is. So now, like, we know that the sequels eventually end with Palpatine, but at the time we didn't. So,
well, and that was cool for me too. I thought Snoke coming in as a different character, we had no idea who he was, at that time, and it was just incredible. And I thought that I thought he was a cool bad guy. I thought they did a good job with him, and I think they did a fantastic job. And I thought it was a cool way that they killed him off as well, and brought everything together. And I'm starting again to start turning more towards the sequels. I want to, I was there with you when we watched the Force Awakens, so I'm about ready to watch the other two, and just go through it again, because everything that has come out is just such a cool story that started from what George had in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because The Force Awakens gets so much crap because it's a retread of A New Hope, but I mean, yes, it is. It's still a great story, and it's got so much. It's the perfect setup to that trilogy with Rey, Finn, Poe, Snoke, Kylo Ren, all these different characters. They start with a really, really good setup with that first movie. But it's kind of funny because the Phantom Menace is kind of a similar movie too. You got Finn and Rey versus Kylo. You got Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Maul. The Starkiller base fight is kind of like the fight for Naboo, where they're going up and destroying the droid, whatever spaceship thing outside of Naboo. They're destroying that with the Gungan fight on the ground. So it's kind of similar. I mean, poetry, it rhymes. It's what Star Wars has always been.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and then when they went away from that formula, people got mad at that too. So,
oh yeah, there was no
Yeah.
pleasing anybody.
no,
There
Nobody-
never is. Still today.
nobody
I mean,
hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Exactly.
No, they do not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we went over that. That was something that I just thought was sort of something neat to talk about, because there's so many different, ideas, and everybody has their own opinion on what's going on. And Theories of the Force agrees with me, and I think all of us. It was such a great moment in the Snoke's death, and how they did that, because I don't think any of us saw it coming until we saw his lightsaber just start to turn a little bit, and then we're like, oh, okay,
Yeah. Well,
and yeah,
the whole like The Last Jedi, of course, people who don't like the Luke stuff, the last 30 minutes of that movie, from the throne room scene to Luke versus Kylo on Crate, like, it's all so good. But that throne room scene is awesome. From not only the fight scene with the guards and stuff after they kill Snoke, but even before, when Snoke is talking to Rey and like lifts her up in the middle of the room, like that is so good. Bounces the lightning off the ground.
Yeah, and yes, I was going to say that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so obviously and that's the thing too, is he this powerful, mangled up, Dark Lord, or is Sidious working through him, or both?
I think he's his own being. Like, that's
Okay.
not Palpatine, but Palpatine created him. I honestly don't know.
Obviously, as well as obviously his face and how he's all
Yeah.
a little bit mangled up, and he's not like human or whatever. But
Yeah.
so obviously he needs Omega to
Create him,
create more.
Well, yeah,
Good.
and Luke's hand, because they got Luke's hand on Exegol too.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we need a little bit more of a story for that too. And the whole Maz Kanata thing, I want to see that could be a cool Tales, where you could have 3 episodes of her. And I think it would be okay, because a lot of people, especially nowadays, the younger crowd likes the prequels or the sequels. And I think you have her character. You could do a 3 episode, 12 to 15 minute, and go do a couple of her cool stories. But then also one of them is how she gets Luke's lightsaber. And
About
how
100%.
she continues to have it.
I'm astonished we haven't gotten more Maz. Like,
I know.
it has to be coming.
Yeah.
It's such a great setup. She runs a cantina. She was a pirate. She's 1,000 years old. Like, how has she not come around again? How has Takudana not been a planet we've visited since The Force Awakens?
She's hooked up with Chewbacca.
I know.
I mean, maybe with Yoda. You don't know. Like,
1,000 years old.
Yeah, she's hooked up with everybody. She's got some stories to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
just even some of the creatures that were in her cantina, are so cool, and they have a little bit of a backstory. I can't think of her name. She's sitting there with that big, huge alien, and she's got the black on her head, but she has a story. I'm trying to think if it's like a short story somewhere or a comic. I don't know if Jacob's still on here, if he's seen her in a comic. I forget what her name is.
Is it the bounty hunter?
Something like that, or some sort of evil person. But yeah, she might be a bounty hunter for. But I just thought that but there's something. Oh, I think it's no, it's not. It's not in the other books. I don't know where I saw a little story about her, like a little, maybe not a whole novel, but something that had a little bit of a background with her and stuff. I forget what it was all about, but yeah, just characters like that. But Maz Kanata would be an amazing story that we need to get for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, it would work so well on a Tales series because, like, the Tales of the Jedi explains or shows Dooku deleting the Jedi archives. You could have Maz Kanata picking up Luke's lightsaber or wherever she got it from, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
she's not the one who found it, but she bought it off of somebody or something like that.
Yeah, like Larry said,
someone
she's
had to
got
give
big
it to her.
secrets. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got big secrets and knows lots of people's secrets too.
Yeah.
So she's she knows a lot, which I think is cool.
I mean, maybe she knows Savi from Galaxy's Edge on Batuu
Possibly.
because he is a scavenger for special things.
Yeah. Could be.
There you go.
Again, it's
Special
all
things
connected.
Would be a hand or a lightsaber.
Ooh.
That could especially be a special thing for sure.
Yeah. That comes with a hand.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been I think this was a pretty cool podcast. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you all for your comments. What was the final tally on that poll? Do you have that up there?
Let me look. Let's see what we got here. We have 43% Luke, 43% Anakin and Vader, and 14% something else.
Wow.
So
That's
we are
split down the middle.
Crazy.
You love to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, again, thank you guys for being here. Don't forget tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern time, 1:00 Central time. Mike will be on, a guy who loves Star Wars, talking about hopefully that new the magazine will drop, and we'll get some more information about Mandalorian and Grogu, which will be pretty exciting. As even though we still got 7-8 months to go before this, and I'm also hoping that we get some of this Maul stuff as well sometime soon. I know we got Super Bowl coming up. We got some Christmas movies and Thanksgivings and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get some sort of trailers. Maybe we'll get another trailer for Mandalorian and Grogu too. But make sure you check out Mike's podcast tomorrow, and then again on Saturday and Tuesday. And then we will be back here again next Wednesday. Hopefully Nick will be feeling better and be on here. It will be the night before Thanksgiving, but we will still be on here. So if you guys can join us, it would be great. It means a lot that you come on here and put your comments in here for all of us to be able to talk about Star Wars for almost 2 hours, and Mike does it for 6 hours a week. So obviously there's something going on here. So appreciate you all. Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much. May the force be with you, and we will see you guys on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat.